and welcome to my book journey. Today I have part 3 of my bookshelf tour, and so I am going to be sharing with you my white bookshelf or bookcase that has all of my historical fiction for the most part, some mystery, some suspense, some contemporary, but for the most part it's pretty much historical fiction. And sadly, on this bookshelf, this is the one bookcase that I have read the least because I just collect and collect and collect these books. And most of them I get most of my books used at thrift stores, at library sales, little free libraries. I pick some up there too, or I get them on Pango Books. So I have maybe a few like brand new books, but not that many. And like I said, I haven't read a ton of them I haven't read that many on my shelf, but I just have them, because I have heard about, either I've heard about the books from other booktubers, or I have read these authors before, and so I just, want to read more from them. So I've already filmed it, and I try to go faster because when I did book part 2, it seemed like, part 1, it seemed like a longer video. And so I didn't show the books individually the way I did in the first video. I mean, I showed the books, but I didn't talk about each one and take, a lot of time, because I knew this bookshelf had a lot more books in it. And so hopefully it turns out okay. Let me know in the comments below if you have any of these books, if you've read any of these books, if there's a book on here that you think I should prioritize and try to read soon because it's really good, or if there's a book that you have on your shelves as well and you maybe want to buddy read with me on an upcoming month. That'd be great too. All right, so let's get into the books. Okay, starting at the top of my next bookshelf, our bookcase, I have the Mistborn series box up there. It is missing the second book because I have it elsewhere, because I'm not in the middle, but I started reading that one and I have set it aside for a while, but I'm going to get back into it soon. And then I have a box there, and in that box I have just a bunch of stickers and paper cuttables that I use for my Bible journaling. I haven't got into it in a while, but so I just put that up there. And then I have a box set of it's called the Silo series, and that my son got that for me for Christmas, I think not this past year, but the year before that. And that it has since been made into a series, and we've watched the first 2 seasons and we really enjoy them. It's a sci-fi kind of dystopian story. The first book is Wool, the second one is Shift, and the third one is Dust. And I have heard that these books are really good. They're different from the series. They, of course, you know how they always change things, but that is I've heard that they are good. I started to read Wool a while back, like right when I first got the box set, but then I put it down. Oh my goodness, I have a bad habit. So both of those box sets I started, but I have not finished. Okay, so let's go down to the first shelf. This first shelf, I have a combination of smaller books and then some mysteries. And I don't have a lot of like cozy mysteries. I don't read a lot of cozy mysteries. There's a lot of prompts to read a cozy mystery sometimes, and I never get around to it. And I just don't know. I guess I just don't feel like reading them, even though I've heard they're really good. But so I'll just go through these. And let me see, I'm thinking I have not read any. Well, I've read one book in this, or 2 books actually on this shelf, but that's it. Okay, so we have a mystery. It's a Christian fiction, The Lord is My Shepherd, the Psalms mysteries. And this one I got, I thought that would be really interesting because it's a Christian fiction mystery series. So but I haven't read that one. Then this one is called Because I Could Not Stop for Death by Amanda Flower. It's an Emily Dickinson's mystery, which sounds interesting. And this one I've wanted to read for a while. Excuse me. This is the Thursday Murder Club. And this is also a series by Richard Osman about some elderly men, I think, that are in a retirement home and they solve mysteries. Okay, this one is one that's highly recommended, Maisie Dobbs. And then here's some cozies that I have here. Live and Let Chai, Buried in a Book, Batter Off Dead. Put these over here. This one is also a part of a series, and I can't remember if this is, I don't think I read it because this is not the first. So I just have it. And this one's not really, well, I think this might be a mystery, but it's like a classic. It's from Georgette Heyer. Behold, here's Poison. And then this one is not a mystery, but it's a small book, so I have it up here. It's the Edgar Allan Poe book stories. And then I have a inspired love story by I got it because it is Irene Hannon, The Family Man. And then let me take these up down too. This is not a mystery either. I don't think this is a another one by Georgette Heyer, The Black Moth. And then this one is just up here because it's a little book. It's Belle, an Amish retelling of Beauty and the Beast by Sarah Price. Okay, and then I have a bunch of little love-inspired suspense. I have one romance, inspirational romance, only because it's by Gabriel Meyer. Soldier's Baby Promise. And then all of these are all the love suspense ones. And I don't know, I've gotten these from our library sale and also from Little Free Libraries. And I have not read any of them. They are up here just waiting for me to read. Here's a Lynette Eason. I usually try to find ones by authors I recognize. Like these are Lynette Eason, Laura Scott I recognize. And then here's some more suspense ones. Stephanie Newton. All these. And then this is a book that, this is probably one of the books I've had the longest because it's an autographed copy of a book that Sally Laity is a lady I actually went to church with back in California. She wrote historical fiction books, and so she gave that to me years ago. This one is a book called The Chosen that I heard about at church from my pastor at church said it was a really good read, and I found it at a Little Free Library, and so I grabbed it. And then this one is not a mystery or it's just because it's a small book up here, and this is Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. And this book is a book, I think I'm going to be reading this in August. I might, for my Journey Through Time challenge. So I will be reading that. I loved the miniseries. Now here's the two books that I have read on this shelf. I've read this one, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie. And then I read this one. This is Lone Wolf by Reka Clason. And she is the daughter of Chantel from Chantel Reads All Day. She wrote this book and she did a wonderful job. That was a really sweet story. Okay, so those are the books on my top shelf. Okay, so the rest of this bookcase is going to have mostly historical fiction and some little bit of contemporary and some secular suspense. And so the rest of these all are secular books. And so I have my some of my Kate Atkinson books. I have not read any of her books, but for some reason, I keep collecting them. And then I have my Kristen Hanna books. The Nightingale is my favorite. I have the True Colors by her, Firefly Lane, that I've heard about. I have read Homefront, and I did enjoy that one. And then this one is called Things We Do for Love. And then this one is Between Sisters. I did start reading this one because I was buddy reading it with Lucy from Lucy Chronicles, but she stopped reading it because she didn't like the content. And so I stopped reading it too because I had other books to read. And so I put that back on my shelf. I will get back to it, I believe, eventually. And so those are all the Kristen Hanna books. Okay, but I kind of skipped over here. These are my Amy Harmon books, and every single one of my Amy Harmon books that I've read, I've given 5 stars because I love her writing. This one's called What the Wind Knows. It has like a time travel theme to it. Then this one is Where the Lost Wander, and it is a like an Oregon Trail story. Really, really good. And then this is the book that I'm rereading. I've read all of these, and I'm rereading this one this month, A Girl Called Samson, about a woman that disguises herself as a man during the American Revolution. And like I said, I'm rereading that this month. Okay, so those are those. Okay, and then up here we have, we have These Silent Woods. I have read this one, and I really enjoyed it. It was a kind of like a suspense mystery type book, and it was really good. Had a good ending. And then these are my 3 Titanic books that I have here, and I have a whole video about that. I'll link that below if you're interested. So we have The Dressmaker, The Titanic Sisters, The Deep. These are all Titanic historical fiction. Then we have a nonfiction in here. This one's called Valiant Ambition. And let's see, let's get these correctly. So these both are by Nathaniel Philbrick. The Valiant Ambition, and then In the Hurricane's Eye. And then up top, I put this one back up here. This is The Dutch House by Ann Patchett. This is another one that I will be reading in my, I believe, in my Journey Through Time challenge. Later in the year, I'll be reading this book. Okay, and then we have Sold on a Monday by Krista McMorris. And then we have The Wonder by Emma Donahue. The Girl in the Glass by Susan Meisner. And then we have A Song of Hartfoot Grove, and then Vera by Kara Edigarad. And then we have some contemporary, I don't see, The Sunlight in Abuse. Some of these I've had for so long I don't even know what they're about. But there's that one. And then we have a Diane Chamberlain. I've read one Diane Chamberlain book, or actually 2 Diane Chamberlain books that I really enjoyed. And so this is another one of hers that I picked up. Most of these books are all, pretty much all of them are secondhand that I picked up. When We Believed in Mermaids, and then a Tracy Chevalier book called The Last Runaway. I just love the cover. Okay, so there is my second shelf in my historical fiction. Okay, moving along to shelf number 3, we have some historical fiction in here as well. I think most of these are historical fiction. Right here is this rock right here I picked up when we went to South Dakota. And then these rocks, my daughter, she painted the Bible on this one, open book, and some coffee for me here. Okay, let's see, where do I start? How about we pick these up off here so I get them out of the way. And I'll let you know which ones I've read. This one is a book Woman of Troublesome Creek. And this is about the young women that did the Kentucky Pack Horse Library Project. I've heard this is a really good one. Here is a Robert Winslow book. I've never read any of his. This one's called Deeper Water. Peace Like a River, I've also heard is pretty good. These are all the blue books here, I think. And then this one is Man in the Blue Moon by Michael Morris. Okay, and so let's start over here. I have 1,000 White Women, and this also is going to be part of my Journey Through Time. I'll read that later in the year. This one's called The Bookshop of Yesterdays. The Gown is a book about Queen Elizabeth. I guess the gown she was married in, I believe. And then we have this one's called Dangerous Crossing, and this is a suspense book or a mystery, I believe. And then we have this one, such a beautiful cover, Molokai or Molokai. Tenderness of Wolves, a very wintry book. This one is called Lost Boy Found. Another Jennifer, oh no, this is a different author. Jennifer Chevier, I butcher these names. The Lincoln's Dressmaker. This one is called The Shadow of the Wind. I've heard really good things about this one. This one's called Light on the Snow, another wintry one. And then this are two, these are the first two in this particular series. The Next Year in Havana, I believe, is in, I think this is the first book. And then I was able to find book 2, When We Left Cuba. And I have heard these are good too. Then we have My Dear Hamilton. And then Light Between Oceans. I believe I might be reading this in my Journey Through Time too, I think. I was going back and forth between a couple books, but I'm pretty sure this is one that I'm going to read. Okay, and up here we have The Exiles by Christina Baker Klein. Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles. Grace at Low Tides. The House Girl. And that one has a really pretty cover. My Only Story. The Last Gunfight. This has to do with OK Corral. It's a nonfiction, actually. And then this one's called When Stars Begin to Fall. But I just see it's a book 2. Then we have Whistling Past the Graveyard. Twice Blessed. Water for Elephants. 100 Names, and this one's called The Littlest Library. So those are all the books I have on my third shelf. Okay, we are down to shelf number 4, and this is the shelf that is going to have some more contemporary and then some suspense books. So first I'm going to look at these real quick, because these are some historical fiction. All of these are books that I have picked up on, I think all of these came from Pango Books, and these are all for my Reading Through the Centuries, Journey Through Time, Reading Through the Centuries. And so I have, that I'll be reading later on in the year, Gutenberg's Apprentice. Then I have the Tiger Queens, The Women of Genghis Khan. Just love that cover. This one is called The Bridal Wreath. And then this one, I haven't even opened it. She kind of like sealed it for me when she sent it to me, and it's called The Wolf in the Whale. And this will, like I said, all of these books are for my Journey Through Time reading challenge, and so I'll be reading these later on in the year. Okay, first for this one row, I am going to start on the bottom here. We have some suspense here. This one is called The Last One Alive. This is How I Lived. I've heard a lot about this one too, and I've been wanting to read it. But it does look like a wintry book to me. Rocks, Paper, Scissors. This one's called The Last Thing He Told Me, and I actually watched the TV show about this, but I'm interested to read the book. This one's called Stay Close. Okay, 7 Dirty Secrets, a thriller. So yeah, like suspense and thrillers, I guess. The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. I've been wanting to read one of her books, and so I found that one. Okay, and then we have Inherit Midnight, All the Missing Girls. This one sounds really interesting, The Last Flight. So I had heard about it. It was on my Pango list for a long time, and then I found it at a thrift store. And it's about women that switch places, I think, on a plane. It just sounds like a really good, yeah. 2 women, 2 flights, 1 chance to disappear. Sounds like a really interesting thriller. So, this one's called Perfect Little Children. And then now we're going to get into some more like contemporary books. This one is called Hello Summer. I have a couple summer ones. Hello Summer, and this one's called Sometime in Summer. And then this one is Where the Forest Meets the Stars. And then I have a couple of Kristen Harmel books here. This one's called The Life Intended. And this one is called The Sweetness of Forgiving, both by Kristen Harmel. Here's another Diane Chamberlain book, and this one's called The Midwife's Confession. Ooh, I like books about midwives. Here's Frederick Bachman. I have never read any of his books, but there's that one. This one's called My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You a Story. Then we have a book by John Hart called The Last Child. A Shannon Hale book. I actually should take that sticker off so you can see the name better. Oop. Didn't quite rip that off very well, did I? There we go. Shannon Hale, and it's called Austin Land. Then these two are by the same author, and this one sounds really intriguing. The Husband's Secret, and then 9 Perfect Strangers. So it's kind of like women's fiction, I believe. Okay, up on top, let's see. We have American Royals by Kathy McGee. Twice Told Tales by Shotana, and she has a booktube channel, and so I have her book. And then also these two, actually these 3, are a series. I've read the first book, Before and After, and then I've Said Love, and then If I'm Being Honest. Love these covers. So those 3. Then we have Uni, Leave the World Behind. Up there on the top, we have Lisa Wingate, Drenched in Light, The Invisible Library, The Glass Castle, House of Sand and Fog, Matters of Faith, Sarah Dress and the Truth About Forever, and then If I Gained the World by Linda Nichols. And then I picked this up for 10 cents at my library. I just thought it was a cute little old cover you know, old school book. And then this one is called Peak, and it's a thriller about going up Mount Everest. Okay, so those are all the books on the shelf. Okay, we have arrived at the final shelf, and so I try to put the heavier books on the bottom here, so I have just a mix of things that we have here. So the first thing, I'll look at these first. This is a series of books, and the series is called the House of Winslow series. And I don't have I only have the first 3. I believe there's quite a few, but I am going to read this book, The Honorable Imposter by Gilbert Morris. The first one is on my, I think it is also in my centuries. It might even be next month. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember, but I will be reading this one. And then so we have the first book. Second book is called The Captive Bride, and then third book is The Indentured Heart. And so the premise is a whole generation, families of Americans, or the first one is them coming to America. I believe it might even be on the do they come on the Mayflower? They might come on the Mayflower. I can't remember. But anyway, it's the story of the House of Winslow and them coming to America. Okay, and then we have another blue book about grace by Anthony Doerr. He's the one that wrote All the Light We Cannot See, which I read, and I really enjoyed that book. This is called this one's called Player Piano, and this was a free book that was given to me through my library. This is a historical fiction, The Kitchen House by Kathleen Grissom. Bookshop of Second Chances. The 19th Wife. The Cartographers. There's another midwife book, The Last Midwife by Sandra Dallas. The Masterpiece by Fiona Davis. Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. This is also one that I will be reading for my Journey Through Time books. Journey Through Time challenge. I'll be reading that. And then this one is called Niccolo Rising by Dorothy Dunnett. Okay, here we have some hardcovers. We have 1,000 Splendid Suns, Jodi Picoult, Wish You Were Here, Victoria. I read this one. So here's one I finally read one down here. I read Victoria. This one's called Overseas. I read this one too, Once Upon a Wardrobe. Romanoff I have not read. This is a new one I've picked up recently, called James. And this one's a pretty book. Things That Grow. I think this is YA. Yeah, it's YA. The 13th Tale. And then this one's called The Winter Sea. The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Here's another. No, I always get Kate Atkinson and Kate Morton mixed up. So here's a Kate Morton book called The House at Riverton. And here's a little mystery classic in here. This is all the Sherlock Holmes, complete Sherlock Holmes. Here is a romance, Love and Other Detours. Actually, 2 books together, Love and Gelato and Love and Luck. So it's two books in there. This one's called The Other Einstein, about Einstein's wife. And then this is The Tale of Genji. And I actually was going to try to read this a while back, and I just didn't get very far, as you can see. But there's that one. Okay, so those are all the books on the bottom shelf. All right, so those are all the books. And like I said, I have a bunch of books that I haven't read yet. So again, let me know in the comments below if there's a book that you want a buddy read with me. You know, you have that on your TBR or on your shelf. It's been sitting there like mine has been sitting there. Just let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for hanging out.